Hello class, my name is Matthew Perez, and this is my multimedia discussion for MPA 593, Professional Presentation. So let's begin. So the type of job that I'll be researching for this presentation is Administrative Service Manager's position for the County of Riverside, and specifically for the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. In this position, the manager is responsible for maintaining a budget and sub-orgs within the Sheriff's Department and is responsible for managing the workflow of supervisors and their staff. And I'm interested in this position because I find that the challenge of being responsible for tracking funds and managing staff to ensure that production output is most effective is a rewarding job and very exciting. After doing some research online and reviewing the STARS training video and the common interview questions, I also contacted the manager for the Sheriff's Department who's in charge of actual scheduling interviews, and they were able to provide how interviewing for the manager typically works for the Sheriff's Department. So the interview format consists of multiple interviews. The first interview is a panel of 3 managers, in which the decision maker is not present during that interview, but the panel of managers will relay the information back to the decision maker, who in this case is the Chief Deputy Director of Administration. Then there'll be a final interview conducted with the top candidates, and this interview will most likely have the decision maker in attendance. Sometimes the final interview is just a one-on-one, or there can be additional executive staff in attendance as well. So common interview questions based from my discussion with the manager and the different questions I found online. I was able to learn that the first interview will consist of about 6 interview questions, in which some will consist of the boilerplate questions such as what education, work experience, and skills make you qualified for the position, and what kind of budget preparation, budget tracking, and budget projection experience do you have working for a government agency. And then it also consists of behavioral type interview questions, such as give an example of when you handled conflict between supervisors you were managing, and give an example of when you're responsible to plan, organize, and direct administrative and operational duties. And the final question will always be, do you have any questions for the panel? Then, for the top candidates who move on to the second interview will consist more of the behavioral type questions, such as what are your 5 greatest accomplishments and how did you achieve them? What are your short-term and long-term goals? And how did you handle a difficult situation with a coworker? And in the case of this position, the decision makers are trying to determine if the candidate is a good fit and matches the values of the Sheriff's Department. I also learned that the typical time reserved for an interview for a manager is 20 minutes. This means the response to each question should be no more than 2 minutes. The type of response that is preferred for this position is to use the STARS training method, in which you're able to describe the situation, task, action, and result. And the examples that are being provided should be related to experiences that occurred within a public agency. And you also want to make sure that the question asked at the end of the interview demonstrates that you've done some research about the public agency. This will help illustrate that you are interested in learning more about the agency. The interview questions that I found that are typically given for this position were similar to the interview questions that were provided and the behavioral questions that were provided. It seems like the only difference is the questions that are asked during the actual interview are specific to working for the Sheriff's Department and working primarily in budget and finance. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you all have a great rest of the week.